Hey, it's JP from the Junkies. Football season is finally back, and BetQL is ready to help you win more consistently this year. BetQL is an absolute game changer if you're looking to find trends to help you win. Make smarter bets on spreads, totals, player props, and more. BetQL has already helped over 300,000 people with powerful analytics and community insights. Don't fumble away your cash this football season. Visit BetQL.com for their free daily analysis today. That's BetQL.com.
Kevin Saal joins us, Wichita State Athletic Director, and we always hit you with a music question right out of the chute, Kevin. Any fandom for the Cult?
I can't say that I spent a whole lot of time with the Cult. No CDs, no records, no tapes, no 8-tracks that I can remember.
There you go. That's not surprising.
Me neither.
You are spending a lot of time preparing for this athletic school year at Wichita State. We've seen some changes to Koch Arena already with handrails up in the higher seating sections, which, boy, you've gotten a lot of compliments for that. And then kind of a new way to get into the arena. Tell us a little bit about always looking for improvements.
Well, I'll be glad to. Bob, Jeff, thanks for having us on the show. So you may remember last summer we started with 4 or 5 listening sessions with our fans, and it created about 150 unique pieces of feedback. Before last basketball season, we were able to knock out right around 80 to 90 of those, and certainly had some items that would require a little bit more effort or some resource planning. And so you're seeing a couple of those here this week. Number one are the handrails in the upper deck. Certainly has been a topic of conversation, pretty consistent one in my time here, and makes a whole lot of sense for us to look at that. The beauty of that project is those actually are designed by students and faculty in the College of Engineering here on campus, and they're actually been manufactured on campus, on the Innovation Campus. So that part's been really, really good. We contracted with a company to have those installed. So if you haven't seen those yet, they'll be really helpful for folks in the upper deck. And then the second component is we purchased brand new metal detectors. And the new technology now allows you pretty much just to walk in at the speed of normal walking pace. We'll do some educational components. There's a couple of pretty common items that will trigger those metal detectors, like a sunglasses case or a prescription glasses case, but it's pretty forgiving, and the technology is such that you can kind of just walk through. And so it'll do a little over 2,000 people per hour. And so we've got those set up all over the concourse, and the goal here has basically been folks that have been historically standing out in the cold waiting to get in while the others are going through screening, that experience will be put to bed, if you will, and folks can just kind of walk right in. And so that'll be good. Both two elements that we felt like was important for our ability to serve our the fans, season ticket holders, and Shocker Nation.
As far as soliciting feedback, is that something you'll continue to do regularly? What's kind of maybe like a time frame on how often you would do something like that? And how do you kind of discern when you get those 150 pieces of feedback? Do you say, okay, well, let's get to work and let's do all 150, or how do you kind of discern how to go down that list?
I think, Jeff, it would be like if you were putting together a list of a dozen home improvement projects. You know, you might have some low-hanging fruit that you can knock out pretty quickly that's going to take a little bit of organization or effort or energy, or maybe just some different communication or collaboration, and doesn't have a significant monetary cost. There may be some things that do have significant monetary costs that are going to require some planning. And so the rhythm for input of feedback, we will try to do something organized at least once or twice every year. And so we did those 5 listening sessions last summer. We did a fan survey to solicit feedback right at the end of the season. And we've also done, as a part of our Your House on the Prairie campaign, set up a pathway for feedback as well. And so we'll continue to pound that drum. I think it's really important that we create a first-class game day experience together. there will be some elements that just may be outside of what is realistic, but we're certainly going to make every effort that we can with the tools and resources that we have to put forth a first-class driveway-to-driveway experience for our fans.
Kevin Saal with us, Wichita State's athletic director. Always happy to have him. So, Kevin, realignment. I don't know that we've talked to you a whole lot about it because it's kind of been at the football level, but obviously it's reaching now into every conference at every level. We're seeing it with the American, which obviously has quite a few football-playing schools. In fact, everybody except the Shockers. Now the word is that it looks like perhaps SMU will be on its way to the ACC. That's not official yet, but we expect that potentially could happen. What's it like for an athletic director? How much are you monitoring all of this? How much do you how many phone calls? I guess what I'm trying to ask is Wichita State potentially a part of all this realignment down the road?
It's a great question, and I think it's not necessarily a simple answer. I'll try to make it as simple as I can. It's an element that we have to pay attention to among so many other elements, and the way that we pay attention to it is to stay regularly connected with peers and our professional network throughout the country, to stay in consistent and constant communication with the league office, which certainly has happened, will continue to happen. And then just to lean on trusted advisors, folks that have been a part of this. We've got some very unique connections and resources available to us to help us forecast and project what could happen. And so obviously then you work through thoughts in your mind. But at the end of the day, we have a commissioner in Mike Oresco that has done a phenomenal job, walked into the old Big East Conference in a very challenging situation in the early 2000s. Having come from the TV side of the industry, he's got fantastic connections in the broadcasting world, really transformed the Big East Conference and then had an opportunity to do the same in the American Athletic Conference and has created whatever you desire to call it. I think it rivals a power conference. It certainly has been a high quality conference, both in football and basketball, but also other Olympic sports. And there's many attributes that we could talk about with the American Athletic Conference. At the end of the day, it's like when your coaches do really well, they're going to be sought out by other institutions. And so when you have institutions that do really well, they're sought out by other leagues. I think realignment, if you really think back, realignment started in the early 90s with the SEC and South Carolina and Arkansas and the Southwest Conference transformation and the Big 8 transferring into the Big 12. And then you got into the early 2000s, the Big East. And I was a student athlete at TCU for 3 years, and we had 3 different leagues all 3 of those years as a student athlete there. And you've seen it over the last decade and a half in all the leagues. So, guys, I actually think that we're probably living in a world where realignment will occur in TV contract cycles. I think you'll see over time, as the 5, 6, and 7 year TV contracts cycle in and cycle out, you'll see questions and conversations happening about league affiliation. And so I think it is a fluid environment. It will continue to be a fluid environment. That being said, you can only consolidate so much. And so we'll see where it goes. It's something we have to keep our finger on and understand where we are. The unique piece for Wichita State specifically is we are the only non-football playing institution in the American Athletic Conference. That's not a surprise. We are tied at the hip with the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, because they are a football-only playing institution. And so both Wichita State and Navy, if you will, are considered in combination one institution with one chair. And I think the important piece for us as we converse with our league is Wichita State, Navy, and every other member of the American Athletic Conference is fully a part of all realignment conversations. And so we will continue to monitor it, stay connected with our league office, and make sure that Wichita State's positioned in the right spot.
Kevin Saal with us. I'll follow up that question, and then Jeff will ask the final question of the segment. Is it okay? Am I naive to wonder about the power of television? I know it's always been powerful. It seems to be more powerful than ever. Where are we headed with college athletics vis-a-vis TV?
Well, I think that the market, and again, we're guessing here a little bit, but trying to make educated guesses based on trends and what we see. I think you're starting to see that even the television networks, there's a ceiling to the amount of resources that are available. If you look at subscriber numbers and you start to see the trends shifting from linear television, the old traditional cable networks, into streaming and streaming services, you're starting to see that transition. And so I think you will see over time, the next decade or two, streaming elements play a more significant role in college athletics and the broadcasting element. You've seen it in the recent Pac-12 conversations about Apple TV, and you occasionally, if you're paying attention, you'll see it in relation to some other streaming companies. And so I think that's one piece. I think the other piece I mentioned is that we'll see some realignment conversations that will circle around, I think, cyclically with the television contracts. But realignment is a nebulous concept because you have a singular focus in terms of looking out for your institution, but you're also concerned with the strength and viability of your league, and you don't have all the information. That the effort is to try to acquire as much as you can. And so I think television will continue to be a huge part. Obviously, that plays a significant financial component, significant from a recruiting standpoint, connection to your alumni database, your alumni base, So again, critically important. I just think you'll see it evolve in terms of the streaming capacity and future realignment discussions.
All right. Well, next time you're on, we'll talk more about the individual sports. I know volleyball is up and running, as are the fall sports, and I know you're excited about all that. We appreciate your time, Kevin, as always. Thank you.
Thanks for having us on the show. And real quick for the listeners, we've got our one lone home cross-country meet this Saturday at 8:30 and 9 o'clock. The men and women will run in the J.K. Gold Classic out at L.W. Clapp Park. And so Saturday morning, if you've got some time, come out and support our student athletes. It'll be a great event. So thanks again for having us on the show, guys.
That would be worth it just to see that park set up for cross country. That's highly intriguing.
Coach Hunter and Rainbow and the staff have done an awesome job setting it up. It will be a first-class collegiate cross-country venue.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Take care, guys. Go Shockers.